Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back for another card review. So in this video we're going to talk about Megumin. She's, I think, the biggest jackpot, right? The jackpot of the jackpot. I think with 35th draw, on your 35th draw you're guaranteed to get Megumin, right? So in this video we're going to talk about her, how good is she as a leader as well as a member potentially. Right, so first we're going to take a look at her leader skill, the final magical blow. When there are 3 or more attributes in the team, human attack and god attack times 5, right? So it's a human and god hybrid gameplay, right? So note that you must have 3 or more attributes in the team. If not, I think there will be no multiplier whatsoever, right? So this is going to be a multicolored or multi-attribute kind of gameplay, right? Mixing both god and human cards. So on top of the times 5 base multiplier, you have the damage dealt to light and dark enemies additionally times 2, and for other enemies, which is water, fire, earth, times 1.5. and this is very important for the last part, includes active skill, right? So snipe damage such as the cyborgs, do I call them cyborgs? The new Machina, bi-weekly Machina that actually deal a fixed amount of damage, right? So that's going to be amplified as well, right? So including active skill, this includes Egyptian gods as well, right? So we'll talk more about that later, right? So let's take a look at her team skill. Alright, so what you can see now will be the team skill for Megumin, right? So we're just going to talk about team skill number 1 because it applies for Megumin as a leader and ally, and then for team skill number 2 is basically using Aqua as leader and ally, and I've touched that on the card review for Aqua, so I'm not going to talk about that anymore. Right, so for Megumin, we have team skill number 1, Fire Possess effect of other type of runestones, right? So this actually allows the team to have a more balanced damage output, remembering that Megumin is a multicolored gameplay, right? Which means that you're bound to bring in other attributes other than fire, right? So Fire Possessing effect of other attributes is gonna give some sort of damage to other colors as well, right? So on top of that, we have HP of monsters of Konosuba plus 2500, right? So this applies to every member. So every member with an additional 2.5k HP, right? So that's gonna total up to almost equivalent to Yusuke kind of gameplay with about 30,000 HP, right? So that's actually pretty good. But the thing is, compared to Yusuke have a recovery leader buff, right? So for Megumin, there's nowhere of recovery boost, right? So you'll be more concerned about the recovery, right? Damage should be pretty decent, right? But recovery won't be as powerful as Yusuke, right? As we all know, Yusuke with a set of 3 enchanted heart, you can pretty much recover to full HP, right? Which is pretty awesome. So on top of that, we have drop rate of fire increased to 25%, always needed, I will feel, for Megumin. So Megumin, if you do not have any sort of converter for fire, I think you might run out of fire every now and then, right? So even with the drop rate increased to 25% for fire, I think it's better to throw in a converter. I think there is one called Yun, right, in the Konosuba collab, right? She's a converter, right? So you might want to put her into the Megumin team. Alright, so having said that, let's take a look at Megumin's active skill, right? So she's unlike Aqua, which have 2 active skills, she have 2, but you can only activate 1 of the 2, right? So very similar to what we have for King of Fighters, right? So we're going to talk about that in the next active skill, right? So first, we have Megumin's Explosion Magic, which is at C7, right? Pretty decent cooldown, so that's fine. So it turns the top and bottom row runestones into enchanted fire, right? So it's a roll kind of convert, so I don't think that is gonna do well for amelioration, right? So as we all know, we need to trigger amelioration for more damage, right? So overall, I think Konosuba is gonna be releasing amelioration as well, right? So even if it converts the top and bottom row, it's up to you to spin it into vertical columns in order to trigger that amelioration, right? So I don't think it's gonna be a good idea to just leave the top and bottom row just like that, right? I will probably spin it into vertical columns just to trigger amelioration. On top of that, deal 8 million fire damage to all enemies regardless of defense and enchanted runestone shield, right? So I find that this is going to be pretty important, right? Especially the highlighted in red, regardless of defense, right? So that's going to break some sort of high defense, high HP kind of mob, right? 8 million is a lot of damage, right? And then of course we need the most importantly, we need to break Enchanted Runestone Shield, right? It's kind of an anticlimactic situation whereby you're supposed to do a snipe damage, a big snipe damage, and it gets nullified by Enchanted Shield and just do 1 damage, right? So it goes through Enchanted Shield, so no worries. And then don't forget that Megumin's leader skill actually amplifies active skill damage as well, right? So 8 million is not going to be 8 million, it's going to be a lot more if you're dealing this fire damage to light as well as dark enemies, right? So very good active skill here, right? We have convert as well as a passive, just snipe damage, right? You can remove basically high defense, high HP mobs. You can remove invisibility shield. You can basically remove probably those minion shield, CD1 minion shield, right? Which is, I find it very good. So 8 million, you can pretty much take down the side mobs, right? So the side minions with just the snipe damage, and then your main damage go through in the middle mob, right? So I believe this can go through CD1 minion shield, which is pain in the ass, right? Unless you have some CD delay and stuff like that. So monster enter a fatigue state at the end of the round. So this is very similar to what we have in Gon's active skill, right? His Jajangkan Rock active skill, which puts him in a fatigue state of 2 rounds. Okay, so for Megumin it is 1 round, and thankfully it's not for the entire battle, right? So if you understand that, basically in the anime, after she used her explosion magic, she won't be able to use it for quite a long time, right? So one turn is fair enough. And then we have her second active skill, which is the stronger version of the one that I've mentioned just now, right? But this is at the expense of a Dragonic Compulsion. So very similar to what King of Fighter have. We have the max version and then the non-max version, right? What we have for Kyo, Kusanagi, right? Kyo, as well as Mai and Iori. So this is when your compulsion is max, you get the choice of activating this explosion magic Crimson Blaze, which turns odd rows of runestones into enchanted fire, basically the top, the middle and the bottom, right? So you have 1 extra middle row convert there, and instead of 8 million you deal 10 million fire damage, which is a lot more, right? Don't forget the amplification for her leader skill, and it's also regardless of defense and enchanted runestones, which is okay. And then monster enters a fatigue state at the end of round, and this applies for 2 rounds, right? So similar to Gon. And on top of that, we have the humans and gods in the team entering a hyper state, right? So while Megumin is resting for 2 rounds, the other members get a boosted state. So I assume that it is times 2 for their attack stats, right? So this is to be confirmed, and you can activate this, as I mentioned just now, only when compulsion is fully charged, and you cannot activate compulsion during that round. So extremely similar to what we have for King of Fighters, right? So overall, I think that she's gonna be a big damage dealing team, right? So I'm very concerned about her recovery, because there is no boost in recovery whatsoever, right? So but I feel that her recovery should be pretty decent, right? We are running a human and god setup, and these 2 races have pretty high recovery, right? Human have very balanced recovery, and god is high in recovery, right? Not as high as elves, but still decent. So overall, I find that Megumin here is gonna be pretty strong, right? So I think she's gonna be the strongest among the jackpot, right? Well, she should be, right? Because she's the jackpot of the jackpot, the 35th draw guaranteed card, right? So overall, I find that this card here is gonna be very good in dealing massive amount of damage, right? Even if you put her as a member of a fire team, dealing 8 million and 10 million damage is good enough to wipe out minion shields and probably like small little other stages as well, right? So this is gonna be card review for Megumin. I find that I think she can be a must draw, depending on I will have to check it out, right? So sometimes I might overrate some cards during this card review, I might underrate some cards during this card review, so I will have to draw it and then I'll confirm it during the draw or during some gameplay live streams. Right, so overall this is going to be card review from Megumin, right? If you enjoy this video, do give it a like, and then as usual I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.